Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Jenks Center, our evening and weekend programming. So if you're not on our e-newsletter list, you can sign up here. And I'd like you to be advised that we will be recording this evening's presentation. So if you'd like to turn off your camera, now would be a good time to do that. So in June, of course, we have this evening a Composer's Corner with guest Olivia Perez Collillmer. We have Walking Winchester series visiting the Griffin Museum. That will be through WinCam. We have Styling Your Outdoor Space with Stacy Martin. She's our interior designer, so she's going to go outside and show us what she's been up to. We have Acrylic Painting Basics Workshop with Eli Portman. He is a local artist. He's also quite famous. He has his art on a series of beer cans, and they're quite beautiful, actually. A 57-year ride with Cyrus Dallon's a quest to raise his iconic Paul Revere statue. So this is all about our local museum, and that is in Arlington. We have our Ayurveda series part 4. You don't have to have been in part 1 through 3 to enjoy this. That's with Dr. Shaw. We have an acupressure workshop with John Saya. This is part 2. He's going to show us how we can use acupressure on other people to help care for each other. We have the Rat Pack with Deborah Block. She's going to come and share music and video with us. We have our Acrylic Painting Basics Workshop Part 2. That's on June 20th. If you've ever thought of flipping a house, please join us with Marilyn Savage. She's going to show us how to do that. We have Introduction to Hansian Calligraphy with Mei Hung on June 24th. Her presentations are always very interesting. We have Shop Tour with a locomotive builder, Ed Hume. He has his PhD from MIT, and he's going to show us how he builds these from scratch. They are not electric trains, model trains, but they use butane and coal, and he creates them. We have Dances Dialogue with guest Deborah Boyle. She is a local ballerina. She's going to come with our host, Pam Weiss, to show us what she's been up to. So we want to thank the Cummings Foundation for their generous grant that they supplied us for the last 3 years. I just want to share that we have received a 10-year grant with them starting next month. And that brings us to this evening, Composer's Corner. So we are so pleased this evening to have Andrew, my wonderful husband, who's going to interview Olivia Perez Collillmer. She's a soloist, pianist, band leader, and composer from Barcelona, Spain. As a young scholar pianist, she toured, and she also recorded for the National Radio of Spain. She is a Spanish virtuoso who plays a flamenco touch to her chamber jazz. Olivia is the composer and performer of several award-winning compositions. Currently, she is a member of the faculty at Berklee College of Music Piano Department. And as a tribute to her heritage, she incentivized the formation of the first Berklee Spanish music and flamenco jazz ensemble. So let's invite Andrew and Olivia to join us. And thank you so much for being here this evening.
Thank you, Hillary. And thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. We really appreciate it. You know, it's one of those things where I was just walking down in front of Berklee one night and saw the sign. There was a performance by Olivia Perez Collillmer, and I walked in, and it was just a captivating night. It was just enchanting and wonderful and exciting. And I thought, oh my God, I got to find out more about this woman. And I'm so pleased that she's able to and willing to help us tonight. She's been very busy. In fact, I know she's been the last 5 days in the studio, and all of the rest of us were out having fun and celebrating Memorial Day. She was working hard on her next album, and she's also been very busy with auditions right now. She's, I believe you audition people entering that are trying to gain access to Berkeley. Is that what you're doing? So I thought maybe before we actually start the official interview, if you'd like to play a little something of yours, just to give us a taste for your unique blend of music, which I think is quite fascinating.
Yeah, of course. Hello, everybody. I'm very pleased to be here and very happy. Thank you so much, Andrew, for the opportunity and for Jen's community, and as well, thank you so much for that lovely introduction. So I would love, yeah, of course, as we said, like Olivia, Perez, Collillmer, I am from Barcelona, so I'm Catalan Spanish, but I do live in Boston. It's my home base because I am, a faculty member in the piano department as well in the ensemble department. So most of the time I am here in Boston base, and after the pandemic or during the pandemic, most of the time. But yes, I've been the last 5 days in the studio. We have been doing the pre-production of the first album, debut, and that we're going to be recording in October. So we are very excited. We have been with the whole team here. It's like I'm leaving the cave right now. Today is my first day. But yeah, Andrea, I would love to share with you, start like an intro with one of my pieces. Is an arrangement of original song by Frédéric Montpeau. Frédéric Montpeau is a composer that died in the 1980s in Barcelona. And for us, it's considered our Debussy, Ravel, Satie from the Catalan Spanish culture. So the textures are very minimalism. The sound is very, based on small layers, but very like representing the sounds of the nature, the sounds, the dropping water, the sound of the wind, all these colors, the super powerful colors. And so I took one of those melodies, folkloric melodies, and I did the arrangement into tangos flamenco. And that is the arrangement that it was produced by Berkeley and was recorded by Berkeley. So I would love to start with that. There is a surprise towards the end. So tangos a Montpeau. Let's go. Let me move towards to the end when we have the other part that is the surprise, okay? that it will be. I hope that you like it.
Mesmerizing. Oh my God. By the way, is that a flamenco dancer strictly Spanish? She almost looked like she had a little bit of Chinese in her or Asian in her. Is that possible?
Yeah, she's originally from Japan, but
Uh-huh.
she spent all her life living in Spain and now
Wow.
she's in Boston. Yeah.
That was a workout right there. I just
Yeah.
to see it. That was incredible. And I'm sure
Thank
seeing
you.
it live would have been even more amazing. So tell me about you've had a very interesting childhood too. I understand that you uh, well, what don't you tell us as an audience how you started out in the world of music. I always like to explore, how people were exposed to music, how you decided to, become a musician and dedicate your life to it. Was there a seminal moment in your life where something happened that you said, "Oh, I'm definitely going to be a musician"? Was there musicianship in your family? So what's the background? Give us a little bit of a history there.
Wow, it's a very good question. I mean, I've been playing since I was 4 or 5 years old. The music has been part of my, of my being. So at that age, I was called from very important maestros that I had already, in the Conservatory Barcelona. So I studied in the National Conservatory in Barcelona, the public national conservatory that it was the best, one of the best in Europe. And I, kind of just fall into that path. And I got a lot of opportunities to work with some of the best maestros in every, different autos, for example, in Beethoven or in Granados, in Albéniz, Falla music, Spanish music, but as well in Bach. So I was enjoying a lot. But of course, I was just keeping my, primary school and then high school. But I was kind of, doing both things at the same time at a very intense level, my musicianship, but I was keeping my, my regular school. And then when it was about, that to take the decision, I wasn't ready to take the decision being exclusive because I didn't want to be exclusive because I love to do several things. And I did say, okay, I'm going to be a concerto piano classic. And at the time, it was my full focus. But at the same time, I want to study philosophy. And I did study philosophy in the University in Barcelona. So my schedule was kind of crazy. In the morning, I was in the University of Barcelona studying philosophy. In the afternoon, I was full-time in the conservatory. And everybody was looking at me like, oh, you're not really a philosopher. And everybody in the conservatory, you're not really a musician, right? Because if you don't spend an hour doing one unique thing, it's always a problem. But no, I don't see that as a problem. I see that as a richness. And I think it's one of the big definitions of my personality. I haven't chosen only one thing. I've been putting different things together that I feel extremely passionate. But of course, it's true that arrives one moment that is a world so specialized that you need to make a big decision. But I wasn't ready to make that decision at 16 years old. They told me, go to London, right, to the Royal College and just concerto piano with orchestra. I said, no, I want to live in Barcelona. I love Barcelona. I want to finish my high school and I want to study philosophy here with my friends and do, I keep classical concerto piano in the conservatory at Barcelona. And I did that. So when I finished is when I made the decision. But in the time I discovered jazz during my 20s after, and then I said, oh, I really want to study jazz. And then I went back to the conservatory and I studied a second degree as a musician, the third degree at the time, and that it was like as a jazz performer. So my friends, they just laugh because I think they say, you are like, how many degrees I have? I think I have 5 or 6. I don't know exactly, but yeah. So I did come back, and then I did study when I was in my 20s, jazz performance as well in Barcelona, in Spain. In that this one, it was in the Conservatory of Liceu, and then I did apply for Berkeley, and then I studied as well at Berkeley, dual major. But I knew that I needed. I think that everybody that we are in the museum field, we know that we receive that call, and we need to make music to breathe. It's part of us. When I don't play, when I don't compose, I am sad. I'm sad, and my energy is down, and my people say, "What's happening, Olivia?" I don't know, weird. And it's just because it's the way that I express myself. You can
Yes.
see this is my home, and I have drums. I have
Yes.
this is the keyboard, the synthesizer, right? The one that I do, controller with the softwares, the production softwares in the computer. This is like a keyboard. sounds natural keyboard. And then I have cajon players, more midis, and my grand pianos outside. So I am like a kid. I go from one instrument to the other, right? Playing, oh, that idea. And just writing and then playing. I need for being happy. And when everybody see that, and you see that everybody else, oh, let's go to a party, let's go to, a trip, and you say, no, I would rather to be at home, it compose it. I had this idea, and then I play until that looks amazing or sounds amazing to you, and you make huge sacrifice because it's about sacrifice, right?
So Olivia, I think if you're like me, if there's a heaven and you go to heaven, when you go to heaven, and they said you could either be on this wonderful beach and just drink all day and read and hang out, or you can be in this little room with a piano. You would probably, like me, say, give me the little room with the piano, because I would be in heaven in a little room with the piano and nothing else to worry about or do. I think that would be, that is the way I feel too. Now, I didn't realize you also majored in philosophy. Do you think that's effective?
I did a PhD. I didn't finish the thesis, but I did the PhD as well as a philosophy.
Do you think that influences you in some capacity in your music in some way? Or was that just
I did lost the question. Sorry.
Is your degree or your studies in philosophy, does that in any way inform your music? Does it affect you at all?
Yeah.
In terms of how you approach music?
All these personalities, all my studies, research are the person that I am, right? So when I have both sides, right? At one side, very mathematical. I did the study in philosophy, the specialty in mathematics. So, I love logics and, do formulas. And so I do that. I do apply that to my improvisation skills. Actually, I do a method in that board that I have there. And I write every week the pattern I'm going to be playing, like a 1 after, a fifth up, and then a fifth down, all the combinations that the sound can have in a mathematical way. It's a formula. Even with the scales, I say, okay, I'm going to go to play with the mode, the Dorian mode. Okay, which combination? Let's go to open this interval, right? So it's a mathematic, and let's go to see how it sounds, that mathematic interval. So there is a whole side like that, but as well, I am very, I study philosophy, that part of like a tragedy, Platon, I love Platon, and all the, the power of the tragedy, the Athens tragedy. My mom is a professor of ancient Greek and Roman, so Latin, and so that is part. Actually, my name is coming from that. Olivia is from the olive of the Apollos in the mythology, right? Of the wars of Peloponnese wars. So this is my sister is called Delia from Delos, the island, right? So has been a very intellectual family. My father, he was, is an architect and a writer as well. So everything has been, printed. And so I feel like both sides. I have the intellectual, like a mathematics side, and I have the passion. I am from Spain. I mean, this is, you can see the way that they talk. The passion is through our veins, and it's part of our culture, our weather, our food, our social skills. And I live with passion. I need to feel passion in everything I do. This is why the sacrifice doesn't sound that tough, right? When you spend 20 hours in a row studying, and everybody else is in a party or in the Caribbean, in a trip,
right?
Don't see that as a sacrifice because you have so much passion that you want to do this. That is the point. And then this is why I decided to do music, because I said, well, if it's the only thing that allows me to choose to be as a nerd instead of being in a party, the Spaniards, is because it's my path, it's my love, my biggest love. And
let's talk about your composing too. When did you start doing composition? Did you do that fairly young, or did you do that starting in college, or when did you get the composition bug?
Yeah, so actually, I do have to thank the composition side to Berkeley completely, especially a professor called Marty Epstein. I don't know if you're familiar.
Oh, sure.
Marty Epstein is one of the biggest composers alive, and she's currently with the Guggenheim Fellowship and one of the the most awarded composers. So in Spain, unfortunately, everything is a little bit separate, isolated, one track. You are a conductor. Okay, just conductor. Just compose it. Just compose performance. And don't even dare to move. So when I came to Berkeley, said, get a baton. I said, me? I don't know how to use the baton. I said, oh no, you're a musician. So just stop having those boxes. You have everything to learn, no? And I said, oh wow, and I love it, the spectrum, right? So Berkeley shake me in a way that you're a musician there and believe on you and start composing the way that you feel. So everything I was doing with my piano and with my friends, Berkeley said, no, this is good enough. Write it down. I said, are you serious? I thought I was doing because I needed, but on my own with my people,
Yes.
no, you need to write it down. So I started presenting those in contests at Berkeley, and they got awarded. I said, maybe they are not bad, right?
Not bad, but great. Let's hear another one of your compositions. What would you like to play for us next?
Yeah, maybe we should do together the Indian.
Yes.
Perfect. So let me introduce a little bit. Together, it was one of the weirdest compositions that I was doing when I was a Berkeley student, and then they wanted, it was a contest of composers, women composer, right? So encouraged by my professors, they say, Olivia, yeah, present your application and write it down. I said, are you sure? Yeah, okay. And in that time, one of my best friends, he was from India. So I said, hey, let's go. I love the multiculturality and multi-genre. And I feel that, so rich. And I did research through my friend. Oh, show me the music, how it works, these microtonas, how does it work, the tabla, the instrument, the sitar. And she brought a poem very typical in her town and said, okay, which music we should put here? And I did write the music, and she brought a poem after a long, extensive time of research of that music. And then sounds like Indian and Spanish. So I'm going to show both versions. One, the original one that I applied when I was a student, and the other is the orchestrating section that I did write for the last show that we did the last year before the lockdown, and we presented in the BPC, Berkeley Performance Center, and got completely sold out. So you can see the both ways to write. So to write for the ensemble that we had. So let's go together. It's called.
Yes.
So let me close this. So this is let's go to start with the original version. So here we have the tablas. All the members except the bassist are original from India, and the singer, and then you will see the sitar. All of us, we were students at Berkeley at that time. This is the original one. This is the ensemble original, me and the piano and writing. The singer was the one that created the poem that is at the beginning, that we are going to listen in the next version as well. The tablas, and then the basses and the sitar. So now the orchestration arrangement that we did in the show that I did produce the last year is this one by different players, because they were in different parts of the world and the previous ones. But let's go here. be a good spot to stop.
I have to tell you, I literally had goosebumps listening to that. That was just amazing. It just,
Oh, thank you so much.
oh
So,
my God. And a tear in my eye. That's so moving. It's
oh,
very
thank you.
impressive. Yeah.
Emotional side of me, you can see the, the mathematical, but it's more like an emotion. Really, I don't, everything when you are writing, no, in the moment. So always has to be something that is very inside of my heart. Really, really, that makes me feel very intensive, or
So
because of happiness or sadness or something that is moving through my mood.
now tell me about the orchestration itself. Did you have an orchestrator do that with you, or is that all done by you, or how's that done?
Yeah, so when you when you produce a show, I was the music director and the music artistic of the whole show, of course,
Yes.
and we are producing 70 musicians, right? So of course, I will be 3 years non-stop working if I will be doing only myself. So it's not possible. But
Yes.
I kind of like choose my team, and we did audition, but also my people, and specifically the arranger, the orchestrator that that you want to get that color, specifically color that they put
Yes. Right.
that in as an author as well, and then I invited a specific orchestrator to do that piece in concrete and all the other pieces, and then it's like a collaboration, co-orchestrated, because of course then you review and say yes this or yes not, it's going to change the section, but yes, it's like a team of orchestrators and arrangers.
Now, what I love about this is, were all these people folks that you met through Berkeley?
Yeah, actually, what the previous one, all of us, we were students at that time, and the ones that you see, I'm the professor of the ensemble. So all the ones that you saw are, it's not like I have 70 students at the same time. So from that, like maybe 20 are my students, like weekly students, and the other they were students at Berkeley that they were applying for being part of the show. So one of the things amazing about Berkeley, you can apply for being in all the shows that we are producing, and then they get the vision, and if they are super good, they are inside. So it's like we get, they get the opportunity to be, and then start the whole system of rehearsals, work very hard, but they are very committed. And so in that orchestra, you have students from Berkeley, you have alumni, right? And then as well faculty members, and Berkeley Conservatory and Boston Conservatory. So it's like everybody involved. So
It's
it's
just wonderful to get all these people together and put together this amazing piece of music that would not have happened otherwise. It's quite
yeah.
an amazing feat, and you must be so proud of it. I mean, if I had composed something like that, I would just basically, okay, now I can just die because I'm done, because I've done the ultimate thing. So really wonderful. Now, you talked briefly about how you worked for you studied under some pretty amazing people, but I want to explore that a little more, because I think you told me earlier, we didn't talk about it today, but you actually, some of your teachers were either directly from the lineage of Faure,
Yeah.
so, and you even had some lineage maybe up to Chopin too, I think. You had some
Yeah,
really
correct.
amazing teachers. So that had to be something. And
Yeah, so in a conservatory in Barcelona, where I did study most of my classical career, and then I went, Switzerland, Italy. Was also under the tutelage of Russian school, Ilse Graubin, as well. But my main mentor, it was Nuria Boneis in the time, and Nuria Boneis, it was part of the team of Alicia La Rocha. It was one of the main disciples of Alicia La Rocha. Is considered one of the 10 pianists more important in the current century, in the 20th century. So that opened me, I had all the music scores annotated by Alicia La Rocha. Here, play here. No, this pedal, all the annotations. And then Nuria Boneis, it was, the main disciple of Alicia La Rocha. Alicia La Rocha it was all the time around in the time in the conservatory. But as well, Nuria Boneis was a student of Monique de Chaussee. Monique de Chaussee was a professor, one of the most important methodology pianists in the 20th century, Monique de Chaussee, and she was a professor in the Paris Conservatory at the same time that Faure, and she was a student and collaborated of Faure, and so it's Faure, and Ravel, and of course, and then Monique de Chaussee was also a collaborator of the second generation of Chopin disciples. Yes.
And so not only do you use all this wonderful background to inform the work you do, But you do composing, but you also do arranging of famous pieces too, which I don't think we'll do many of those today. But for those that are interested, just go on YouTube and find these wonderful things you do with Monpo, and just really wonderful work. So fascinating stuff. And I'm just also fascinated by the fact that you've crossed the line from classical to jazz. Not everyone does that. I think there are some classical people that are pure classical to the point, and they not even, I know some really amazing classical pianists that are not even aware necessarily what the chord structure is. I mean, they are just amazing and they do it beautifully. To take music and basically represent it its most human and best organic and just informed, just wonderful interpretation. But they don't understand, they wouldn't be able to improvise, if they forgot a measure and had to improvise something, that they wouldn't do that. So, in the jazz world, you have to be very conscious of not only the key signature, but the key and the modality, are you in, are you in an Ionian scale or whatever? So you cross that barrier. You've basically been able to do all of it. And then on top of that, you compose. So, which is just a whole nother level. And now I'm hearing that you also do things mathematically. I'm fascinated by that. I don't know if you have time today to show us an example of how you took a mathematical insight and turned it into, a piece of music. But if you do have time, I'd love to, with one of your pieces, I'd love to see a little bit more about how you actually think about it musically, or how you write the melody line, or the way you think about composing it. If you can share some of that with us, maybe on one of your pieces coming up, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So yeah, totally. I did cross the line. So people, yeah, exactly. So, but it's part of my personality, is what we said, right? So when when I was teenagers, they say, no, focus like a full-time concerto classic piano, right? And go to London to the Royal. And I said, no, I don't want to keep studying here and study philosophy. So it's like I think that both worlds, or in this case, classical and jazz, they are feeding each other, right? So, and yeah, I think it's a huge lack of, in the methodology of how to teach classical, and how to approach exactly the chords. So most of the people, when they come to us, and at the beginning, when I was pure classical, I never studied jazz, I didn't know how to improvise. I didn't know in which mode I was. I didn't know the color of the chord. And it was like an alien, completely an alien. And it was very common. All of us, we were in the same situation, and we are seeing this every day. I have students at Berkeley that are coming from Russia or any place, or France, Spain, Asia. They're coming from a super strict, like a classical train, and they don't know how to play at all any chord. So we start from zero. So they have excellent technique, or we had, right? So in my case, when I started, so we have excellent technique, but no knowledge about harmony, no knowledge of how to build, compose, and to create and improvise. That's freedom. So in that case, is what gave me the jazz, right? Seeing the colors or the melody from another completely perspective, always thinking about what is the harmony that is behind, right? And how many textures we can create from that. And so I think both, I think it should be mandatory if somebody wants to really be a strong musician or loves the music, to study both the technique of the classic that gives you the repertoire, some the biggest composers in the history, right? And the tribute, and being able to study their work.
Exactly.
Being able to study all the jazz, as make you free. You are taking that from the score and say, okay, what can I do with my own personality? Because there is only limitation. What are you going to be always playing the score the way that it is? It's great, but there is something else.
So tell me something about who influenced you both in the composer world. What composers influenced you the most, do you think, in both the classical world and also in jazz?
In classical world, definitely Bach, Beethoven, Chopin, definitely.
Yeah.
And all the impressionisms. And of course, Satie, Ravel, Debussy, and Monpo, it will be the huge name. And I will add as well, so like a more composers like a Ginastera, Villalobos, that they are connected with Catalonia and Latin America. But yes, this could be the every, and of course the Spanish music like Granados, Albéniz, Falla, of course everything that is related with my ancestors, the way that I've been, I did learn the piano through them. But in a jazz world, absolutely, Miles Davis, sorry, and Thelonious Monk, so are the two more reference for me. For example, Rami Night, I do use Rami Night completely, or sometimes in a ballet way, sometimes more into flamenco way, sometimes into, so I think that Monk is one of the biggest, composers in the jazz. And for me, it's the ones that, but everything, I think that, based on some people, for example, get very inspired by Oscar Peterson or Bill Evans. Of course, I do. But for example, from Bill Evans, I love to analyze what we said about the mathematical part. I do research, I do write his music, and I say, okay, what is the voicing? What is the chord that I want to apply? And I do copy and I do transpose that into my music. So the musicians and the composer, we are constantly, right, researching and studying the masters and copying that and taking it into us. So from Bill Evans, I'm taking the voicings, right, the textures, but Bill Evans was taking from Debussy, right, and Ravel. So it's why we don't go directly to the sources. So I go to Bill Evans, but I said, okay, let's go directly to Ravel. One of the biggest.
One of the things I like to do is sometimes I'll just take two measures of a famous composer's piece and I'll just turn it into something completely different, and just see where it goes in a totally different direction. And it's just fun to see the infinite possibilities of one idea and how they can be leveraged in so many different ways. By the way, you mentioned earlier this my drapes match is it the Catalonian flag? So
yeah, that is the Catalonian flag, and you have the rose as well.
The rose right back there, yes. I changed the drapes for every composer. Just
okay, I thought it was because that is the government. The Catalonian government has that flag and that rose.
I love it. I love it.
Parliament.
What would you like to play next? And maybe in one of the next pieces you play, you could kind of show us a little bit more about how you think about it.
Let's go to Barcelona. This is a tribute to my city, of course. And this is the composition got awarded in the women's contest and was performed at BBC. And I did the arrangement. We did the arrangement with one of my students, Camila Cortina, excellent arrangement. And it's going to be included in my album, my first album debut that we are recording in October. So this exactly arrangement. And I will show as well some of the writing process, how you build from a melody and then how you write the different instrumentation. This is for a whole symphony. I mean, the whole orchestra that we have. Let me share. So we have this, and then but so let's go to share this.
Chaquetilla y pantalones, por la rambla de las flores, andaba y una gitana llamada Gran Medalla. Y al gurú, 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 al gurú, al gurú.
Okay, this part, okay, and then we are moving to the next part. This part starts more like a tangos, a 4/4. And then we move to a rumba, really, really up energetic. Here. did a special arrangement for this show. So it's coming a dancer right now, and it's a solo between them. And then let me put from here when we are with all of them together in a upbeat.
Barcelona, que María se te pierda, porque tengo tu recuerdo aquí en el pecho latiendo.
Here, yes. So
Wow.
I would love, yeah, so I can show a little bit about that. But yes, so this attribute, so the last part is a rumba flamenca, but it's a rumba catalana. It's very specific of Catalonia. And the biggest, for some of the biggest representative was like a Rosario Flores from the familia of the Lola Flores, as well, so we have Perez. And for example, the opening for the Olympic Games in Barcelona, it was a lot of rumba catalana, right? And it's coming, of course, it's taken from flamenco, but it's taken from the Mediterranean side. It's based on like a tum pa pa pum pa tum pa pa pum pa, and that is the beat, right? So we go a transition to the rumba, the dance and the apotheosis of the dance. So it's the beat. It's a 4/4. Tum ta ta tum pa tum ta ta tum pa tum pa pa tum pa. So that is the main thing. And yes, so now this, yeah, so I can show. So you asked me, Andrew, that you would like to see a little bit of the score, right? Correct?
Yes, yeah, please.
So I'm going to share this with with all of you. So the process, for example, let me share with you. So here.
That was just such a wonderful high energy piece too. I can't imagine anyone in the audience falling asleep in the middle of that.
No, and also we finished with this piece and the people just, it was, and everybody dancing. So we had to do an encore, like at 10 minutes. I don't exaggerate. The encore, it was 10 minutes. Wow. And everybody on their feet. So I don't think I've ever seen Berkeley Performance Center with that dynamic, right? So
it was wonderful.
I was everybody dancing and clapping, and they didn't want to stop. So it was just on the stage, we made a huge encore. It was a standing ovation and sold out. So we are looking forward to come back, right? And these are one of the pieces, of course, of the album. So let me share the score so you can see that part.
By the way, people can go to Olivia Perez Collillmer.com, right, and see your pieces there. Is that true?
Yeah, of course. So this is Olivia. I will share with you the email, but it's oliviaperezcollillmer.com, correct? And then so that you can find all the music that is that, yeah. And because we cannot publish, the songs are, strictly confidential, the ones that we are pre-production from the album. So the album is going to be in the 2022 release.
Just have to wait till the album comes out.
Yeah, exactly. So here, okay, can you see? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So this is, for example, a process. Let me move from the beginning. So this is my piece, the one that just we listen now, Barcelona. So I did originally write for just a piano, a cello, a vocal, and a percussion, right? So how do you do that in a process that say, okay, the whole orchestration section? So this is the piece that we saw, the whole orchestra. But now for the album, we are going to, of course, we're not going to record with a symphonic orchestra size. So we are making like a reduction, right? So the reduction that we are choosing is, the string quartets. So it will be cello, so cello soloist, there is a cello soloist, then string quartets, violin 1, violin 2, viola, and cello. That is a part of the string quartet reduction. Then we have one reduction of the winds. That's going to be the flute. Okay, and the alto is the singer, we call it the alto. Okay, and then we put piano, of course, and then electric bass, because it needs to be, very strong, that sound, very present, very ground. So we choose electric bass instead of acoustic bass, and then drum set, and of course cajon. Always we need cajon for this music that rooted in flamenco. And so here, the way that it starts, like the melody, I do start composing the melody.
I'm
Always.
sorry, for those that don't know, what's a cajon? What is that?
Cajon is that box, that box that you sit on top of.
Oh, right. Yes.
It's a good box, and it's typical. It was coming originally from Peru. It's a Peruvian cajon. But Paco de Lucia, the biggest, guitarist, flamenco guitarist in the history, right? He was the person that took that cajon coming from the music heritage from Peru and decided to put it into the Spanish flamenco music. It was the first person. After Paco de Lucia, all the ensembles of flamenco, they have as a mandatory is a cajon. It's part of the ensemble, the colo.
That's fascinating.
That is box, the percussion box that has it's a very specific color. It's not exactly the Peruvian, has been changing a little bit the color.
Mm.
The one that they have behind me, then we can see when we share in the screen. Okay, so here I start the melody. Let me annotate just one moment. Here I'm going to use the spotlight. So the melody, the way that I do start is writing the melody. The way that I inspire, I do write with the piano. Some composers, they prefer to write with with a program like a Finale Sibelius with a computer or sequence. No, I in my case, I love to use paper, I love to use pencil, and I love to use the piano. So everything that comes at the beginning needs to start with a melody. Always. You cannot start writing for a Stravinsky orchestration because it's going to be a mess. So it starts like something that's significant a lot, and is a melody that is here, and it's coming with the chords. And then after that, when you have two lines for the piano, you can start distributing the orchestration side. So here is a melody, the one that was playing the cello. So I do open with the piano, and everybody else is muted, right? So you're building. You can start with all the instruments on the face, and the interpretation rubato here expressively, and then taking the cello. The cello's taking the lead. So it's dialogue between two instruments, piano and cello, right? So take exactly the same, and we write in the best register for the cello. The best register is in this octave. Sounds very cantabile, very expressivo. Okay, so when you write for orchestra, you need to be aware of what is the best sound for every instrument, and what is the best register, and what is the limit, the range that starts sounding not good or not comfortable. Okay, so here it's a solo moment for two instruments, so nothing else. I'm moving here. And here, on time, a tempo. Before it was everything, rubato, freely, open. Now, when we have the whole orchestra, we have here, and then we start writing. So we don't have vocals, it's empty, we don't have flute yet, but we have the string quartets. Here, so what they are doing, they are doubling the same melody. They are doing the same in their specific key, right? This is G clef, F clef, and C3. So exactly the same. When you arrive here, what you are doing is filling the chord, right? So the specific chord that you have, this is the chord that you have, C minor 7. So you say, okay, I need the fifth, I need the, the E flat, right? The minor third, I need the minor third, so they are doubling.
Yes.
But in different register, right? So the specific for the violin one. Then one octave down, we use a lot doubling instruments, but not the same octave, the same different octave, right? And then you kind of feel the chord, very important. The bass is still playing, okay, tom, pom, the groove, vale? Starting to make the groove. So the bass in this music is going to be doing this, ta, pam, pam, pam. This is the specific groove for the rhythm. So always when you write for a bass, you need to be very knowledgeable of the style, the groove specific that, define that genre. The groove of the bass is going to be doing this almost all the piece, filling the chords in this shape, root, fifth, octave down. In this case, this movement is very powerful in this music, octave down, octave down, octave down. So it means a lot, very powerful movement. Okay,
Yes.
piano is doing the melody now. Do, da, di, da, do. And then the harmony of my left hand, I don't play, or I play more free textures, more, colors, per colors. And who is holding me the harmony of my left hand? The string quartets. And the string quartets just filling the chord. So that is the decision you as orchestrator, as arranger, that you want to put the string quartets doing the melody. Okay, who's going to take the melody? Who's going to take the chorus? And then just you split in 4 lines, and sometimes you double. So that will be the main concept. So I do the piano here, and then what? Drums start doing here. We don't have cajon. And then the rhythms, very important, just mills here that feel the groove, and then like this. For example, let me just that example. So here the same, they are doing homorhythm, right? So they are doing the same rhythm at the same time, and the same melody here on the cello.
By the way, there's some wonderful violin work later, like in the midsection of the piece that's pretty demanding. It was quite fun to listen to. I used to play violin, so I can certainly appreciate the challenges with going through. Really I think we have time for one more piece. Do you want to play Barcelona now?
Yeah, Barcelona is the one that just I play. I can do Granada.
Okay.
So I think that, yes, perfect. So let's go to do Granada. Granada is a tribute for Granada City, one of the most beautiful cities in the world, as it is Barcelona, and of course it is Boston as well. And I did spend a research project there because I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but the only way to learn flamenco traditional is going to live with them. There is no way. There is no college. There is no conservatory. There is no academia that you can learn the flamenco, Rudy. So what I did, I lived there. I moved to Granada and I lived some like a immersion with, in that case, it was a gypsy family, right? So, I mean, a friend from Berkeley that I moved into their house family. And then I said, and I contact with all the gypsies that they were there, that kind of, they feel like they are the preservatives of, they are the preservation, right? Really, the whole tradition of the flamenco. And I did learn everything by ear because they don't write music. They don't know music. They didn't know the scores. They don't know even the keys. So when I said, in which key do you play that? I don't know, what is that? I said, okay, play it. Oh, just listen to me. So it was completely challenging because it was like a putting two languages, right? Speaking in French and speaking in English, and neither of them. It was really challenging. And what they use for the position. So for example, for them, based on the guitar, they call in the middle position or up position, right? When it's in the middle is one key, is A for us. And when it's up is E. So they don't know that it's E or A or whatever, or Phrygian, but they play based on the position and the fret. So they are moving the fret. So that it was really challenging. And the cadencia andaluza, da, pam, 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 they don't know how to define. They don't know. They don't say dominant with a sharp 11 or major 7. ¿Qué es esto? No, me decía, no. So I had to put terminology in a traditional notation for us. What it wasn't, it was completely oral tradition, and that it was very, very challenging and very fascinating. So it's one of the research that I've been doing, and I've been leading at Berkeley, making scores and writing that oral tradition into notation. And that is Granada is a tribute that. So you're going to see the traditional flamenco there, the singer, what we call cantaor. Cantaor is the flamenco singer. Cantaor if it's a male. Cantaora if it's a female, and bailaora, the dancer, and then the music, the rest of the band. And the arranger, what you said, Andrew, that what's happening with the arranger orchestration, the orchestrator that I did invited in the song is from Greece. So you're going to listen, the orchestrator sounds really, really Greece, beautiful sound, or that it feels like you are in the island, the Greek island.
I love it.
It's a combination between flamenco and Greek island, and it's my composition, so it's like a whole combination. So let me go to that sharing. Yeah, so let's go to the Granada. Okay, and of course, in this song, guitar, Spanish guitar for sure. pure flamenco. Okay, this is the part with the orchestration that sounds like a Greek color because it's orchestrated by composer Panos, one of the biggest composer and orchestrator that we have international as well as a professor at Berkeley. So that, and then with a Spanish guitarist, especially coming from New York. And then we are going to the deep profound, like a flamenco traditional solo moment into cantador and bailador.
Si no quiso el agua, si no quiso el agua era negra, hay dentro de la rana. Cuando llega al puente se detiene y cae. ¿Quién dirá mi niño? Ay, lo que tiene el agua con su larga cola, con su verde ala. Dormió se queda. Leña de la que van a cuidar de los huesos cadenando como te quiero. Cuid de los huesos cadenando como te quiero. La calle Alfarería.
What is happening now is a bulería, a flamenco palo pure traditional bulería. Bulería is called, and now it's guitar flamenco dancer. Sonia, she's one of the most important flamenco dancers in the world. Actually, she is the choreographer of Madonna's in the international tour when Madonna.
She seems very confident.
Yeah, I mean, she's unbelievable. And he's a Grammy also performer. So, and then we move from that traditional, we open again to the melody. And look at the orchestration. The orchestration is holding a note in the previous part. In the vocals, you know, the choir is holding a bass ostinato or a note, like a long note to make that effect of the ethereal, right? That we wanted to bring it. But yes, Sonia Oya. So, and it's a specific palo. So now let's go to do transition to come back to the orchestra.
Okay, ole.
Ole! So it was, now that we were saying about the oral tradition and how the flamenco language is completely different, or it's, in another standards, so different that the tradition and notation, that I had to conduct for the flamenco players in a different way than for the classical orchestra. They were giving the cue to the conductor of the classical orchestra in one beat different than the cue that I was giving to the flamenco.
Really? Wow.
So they are not in the same measure. They were completely in different measures. So I had to be conductor.
Wow. By the way, you have some great comments here. Someone says, what a delightful musician, a fantastic presentation. Thank you. Always a pleasure. Someone else here says, wonderful to see and hear how it all comes together. So beautiful. Thank you. Can't wait for the debut album. Amazing job, Olivia. We're at the end of the hour. I want to suggest that if people want to hang out for a little bit, I'm going to join my wife in what we call the backstage, and we'll have a few questions and answers and wrap up the evening. So feel free to upload your questions to the chat room. And also you can unmute yourselves and we'll be talking in just a minute. So I'll move over to the backstage. I'll meet you back there in a second.
He's just coming to the next room. You're going to join me.
I can't believe my wife gave it away. She gave it away. So much for the mystique.
The mystique.
Yes.
The production studio back here.
Backstage. Okay.
The green room.
So I have one question that I briefly talked to you about. I just wanted to know where you found all your amazing outfits. You have these wonderful outfits. You have one with these sequin sleeves, another one all black, leather, just really beautiful stuff. And I guess you're telling me just friends of yours give you that stuff, huh? Or help you select them. So there's no magic performance store that you go to for all these amazing outfits, huh?
The secret is, the Barcelona design, I think, and also, no, but I did get a lot of things as well in Boston, and I have amazing people that help me with that, and usually I don't have time or very short time, and so they go to, they bring me like 20 different outfits, and then I try at home, and then, they help me a lot. And
Very
then
nice.
So I don't have to do that effort, that to go to the store. So
I want to know, do you have any performances that'll be coming up before your album debut, hopefully, that we can come see?
Yeah, actually, there's a COVID thing that all the kind of big performances are cut, as everybody knows. And also for the management policy, I cannot be performing before the album release. So probably it's going to be, in a time that I'm not going to be, showing or performing live until that my album is come. It's kind of marketing thing.
How about for you must have students that'll have recitals coming up in the next semester or two. So maybe is there a way that some of those public, can we attend those?
Yeah, all the, see at Berkeley, they are opening in September. We're coming back to the full on campus, and we are opening to the concerts, not the Berkeley Performance Center because it's the big one, but all the 1A in 1140 building in Boston, 1140 building. They are all the concerts open to the public, and as well in the Uchida building, that is the 9021 in Boston, this is the other Berkeley building. This is a hall called David Friend Hall. It's going to be open as well, and they have everyday concert, almost every day, from faculty members and students. So I'm performing all the time there as well. So as a part of the, all the projects that we are dealing, we're leading, sorry. Yes, so in September, we're coming back for the opening all the concerts.
That's wonderful. Well, we also have another comment here. Is to continue the diversity and inclusive nature of the compositions that are so engaging and wonderful. So people really enjoyed what you do. And I have to tell you again that I know you're very busy, so I appreciate you spending the time with us today to do this. It was difficult to wrestle you down, so to speak, because you had such a busy schedule. And of course, we're on vacation next week, so we had to move the schedule up a week too. And then, the site was down for a while. There were all kinds of issues and challenges.
We had issues.
But in spite of all of that, I think we had a very nice session today. And thank you for being so prepared and doing such a great job of presenting your wonderful music. It was really quite compelling and wonderful to listen to. So I know I personally am going to, it was difficult to, every time you shut it off, I said, no,
We want to keep
but of
listening.
course we couldn't possibly be listening to all your music in this 1 hour, but I know I'm going to go back and listen to some of this again tonight, just let it run the whole course because it's just so wonderful. So thank you for that. You've just got an amazing compositional mind, and I'm looking forward to learning more about how you do it. And I need to understand more about the math behind Olivia's compositions.
Yeah.
The math will be more in the method when you practice and when you're practice. Like I think that the methodology is very important to get to be, to grow as a musician, to be better as a musician, player. And I have a very strict methodology, and it's that the mathematics side is more in the methodology, right? So it's like you put several topics a week, and as a composer, as a player as well, say, okay, this week my goal is, to make that phrase or that shape into that mathematic concept, like a 1/3, 5, 7 octave down, and I'm going to go through all the parts of the piano doing this shape, up and down, right hand, left hand, and then combining and doing mirror effect between both hands, all this, and then can be transposed to the orchestra. So it's like a experimental. It really is got laboratory piece, right? But it's part of the methodology.
That's fascinating. They say that sometimes engineers and mathematics and music go well together, and I think I could see some of that in you in terms of, and it works. It really does work. So, and somehow through all that, the passion comes through too, which is just wonderful.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for your time. We've gone over the hour quite a bit. Any final question out there in the audience? Feel free to unmute yourself if you want to ask a question. I think we're going to wrap it up then. I see some great friends out there. Thank you all for joining tonight. We really appreciate it. I see some regulars that are here all the time. We really appreciate your support. Thank you again to the Cummings Grant Foundation and also to the Jenks Center, and to my lovely wife for setting this up. Oh, there's a question? Say something? Say again?
I say that thank you very much. That's wonderful. Since now that there is another song with the name Granada, the only one I grew up listening is the one that Agustin Lara composed. You know that song?
Agustin Lara, sí. Oh, wow. Nice.
But Granada, tierra soñada por Dios.
Por supuesto, Granada. Olé, ahí, Granada, sí. Oh, beautiful, yes. It's one of the most, yeah. Thank you so much.
If we had a real backstage, Amanda and you could talk for probably an hour. We love Amanda. She's just great. And,
I don't know anything about music, but I enjoy to just listen. And my favorite composer is Bach, so I'm so fascinated that you use Bach to compose some of your.
Now I should tell you too, Olivia, that when Amanda met her husband, he was playing, I believe, was it the Moonlight Sonata, Amanda?
That's correct.
And that's how you two met. That's a wonderful story. Yeah.
Yeah. First day I came to Boston. The first.
Oh, really? Where were you? Where were you in that time?
Well, I came to Boston, and my husband was living in the same. He was playing a piano in Vanderbilt Hall. I don't know if you know Vanderbilt Hall. And it was January 1st, and he was playing the Moonlight Sonata. Nice. So I just went in one corner and trying to listen because I love music. And he finished to play that piece and came and asked me if I like it. Of course, I just listened my Spanish accent, but he was speaking Spanish fluently.
Oh, I didn't know that. David could speak Spanish fluently. Wow.
Yes. So he used to speak Spanish because he went to South America one summer to Peru and just learned to speak Spanish. So, and that was the beginning. We married 10 months later.
Oh my God. I did not know that. Now, David was one of the piano players I had that play at the Symphony Cafe in Boston Symphony Hall. and he was the only one that would play out of the American Songbook. Could also play, these beautiful Spanish tunes as well. And people just loved him. They, I was a little worried at first, thinking, "Oh my God, they just want classical." But no, he proved that music transcends all, and they just really loved him. So Olivia, someday maybe two people will meet over one of your pieces. It'll be piano playing one of your pieces, and they'll go and say, "I just love that piece."
Before, and they will keep meeting. I hope so.
Who knows how many marriages you may create? Well, thank you. Thank you all again so much. And thank you, Olivia, for just sharing your hour with us, actually almost an hour and a half. And it was really a pleasure. And you certainly made our evening.
Such an honor and pleasure, and I had so much fun. And thank you so much for inviting me.
It's our pleasure. You have a great night, and we look forward to your CD.
Yes. Adios, everybody.
Adios. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Adios.